Between 1944 and 1986, nearly 30 million tons of uranium ore were extracted from the Navajo Nation to create atomic weapons and make fuel for nuclear power plants. But after the closure of uranium mines, most of the mines were abandoned without cleaning them up. In 2014, EPA conducted a test. The result was stunning. The radiation on many abandoned mine sites were 10 times higher than normal, some 25 times higher. And there were homes within a quarter-mile of abandoned uranium mines and their residue, called tailings.
Nobody has come in to say, look, there's a tailing there. It's not been cleaned. It's not cleaned properly. These are things you need to worry about. No one has come in to tell us these things. It's really sad.
Though the radiation from the waste of uranium mines is not that significant, to live with it for decades is totally another thing. Many researchers indicate there's a direct link between these mines and a higher cancer rate in the past 4 decades of the Navajo.
There's a tremendous amount of evidence that lung disease, including cancer and interstitial lung disease, is high in prevalence in the Four Corners region over the last 30 or 40 years, which almost directly ties with occupational exposures and maybe even environmental exposures.
And even before the abandonment, Navajo miners were poorly protected.
Citizens were taken advantage of, frankly, and not given the proper information they needed to protect themselves and not given the equipment they needed to protect themselves.
And the cleanup plan is slow. This February, EPA announced it authorized 3 companies to clean up over 50 mines in the next 5 years, and the planned cleanup will only reach about 230 mines. There are still more than 300 sites that need to be cleaned, and according to the president of Navajo Nation, Jonathan Nez, it will cost $34 billion to do so. But before it's done, the real problem is, how can you tell it's radioactive until you see the sign? That's how these sites look like, just a warning and nothing else. Some in Monument Valley, a popular tourist spot, have no signs at all. Many believe had the companies cleaned up those sites after abandoning them, they would be not such a big headache for everyone now.
They would rather put profits ahead of people. And so you end up with a lot of mine sites that, you know, there's no money to be gained from cleaning them up, so they just would leave them.
In 1990s, U.S. Congress passed Radiation Exposure Compensation Act, but it's difficult to prove whether the contamination has caused elevated levels of cancer.
Nothing yet.
Why?
I don't know. We put in our papers, let's say about maybe 13 years ago. Nothing.
The Navajo are just asking to clean up the sites as soon as possible. Experts told us, frankly, it's difficult for the Navajo to get their voices heard.
If whoever's leading this organization for a cleanup, please do so, and do so right away and now and not later.
EPA wants to clean up those 230 sites before 2027. Too late for generations of the Navajo who live near the abandoned mines. 许德志 CGTN Navajo Nation